Have you ever felt overwhelmed with the complexity of a huge orchestral score with no idea of how to begin making sense of it?
Here's how you turn this into something really straightforward and simple. Make a piano version out of it, called piano reduction. This will force you to boil down the essence of what's going on at any given moment. You'll notice that many instruments are actually doing basically the same thing, which means that there's only 3 to maybe 4 actually different things going on at any given moment. There's the main melody, the chordal accompaniment, and a bass line. Occasionally some ornamentation or a counter melody. Here's an example. So the orchestra score is divided into different sections according to the instrument type. There's the woodwind section containing instruments like flutes, oboes, clarinets, and bassoons. Then there's the brass section containing horns, trumpets, trombones, and so on. Then there's the percussion section, followed by harp and keyboard instruments. And lastly, there's the string section, violin, cello, and so on. The sections within themselves are also ordered from the highest instruments to the lowest instruments. The flutes are the highest instrument of the woodwind family. The bassoons are the lowest. So this might look like there's really a lot of stuff going on, but if you look closely, many instruments are performing the same function. There's 3 things going on. There's the main melody being played by the 4 trumpets. There's a texture in form of a lying chord in the high woodwinds and high strings, and the piano. All of these long notes are notes of the C major add 2 chord. And the 3rd thing that's going on is a more rhythmic, accented motif in the bass instruments of each group. All of these instruments are just playing notes from the C major chord.
This piece has 4 themes in total. I labeled them chronologically. Theme A, Theme B, Theme C, Theme D. The form of the piece is a result of a succession of all of these themes. Some of them are repeated, also played in different keys. This is the structure of the piece. Theme A, followed by a transition. Theme B, C, A, D, B, A, and a closing section called Coda. In traditional classical music, meaning music by guys like Beethoven and Mozart, there are 2 main basic types of melody construction: period and sentence. Let's take a look at the period first. A period is 8 bars long, subdivided into 4 bars plus 4 bars. The first half called antecedent, the second half called consequent. These 2 halves are similar to each other. They begin in a similar or even identical way. The antecedent usually ends on the 5 chord, the consequent on the 1 chord. The antecedent ends on the 5 chord, signifying that we're not done yet. There's still some unresolved tension. An ending on the 5 chord is also called a half cadence, and the consequent ends on the 1 chord, providing closure to these 8 bars. And when we take a look at the opening 8 bars of this piece, we can see that this is, in fact, a period. It's 8 bars long, divided into 4 plus 4, 2 halves which are similar. The first 2 bars of each half are identical. Also, we have the 5 chord in bar 4, and we end on the 1 chord in bar 8. We do have a half cadence in bar 4. For the last cadence to the 1 chord, John Williams employs a more modern technique called modal interchange. Modal interchange means that chords or notes are borrowed from a parallel scale. Parallel scale means that both scales have the same root note. For example, in this case, is borrowing chords from the C minor scale. The A flat and B flat major chords are the flat 6 and the flat 7 degree, and they come from this key of C minor. After theme A follows a transition. It's the first appearance of what I call the main rhythm of the piece. This rhythm is 1 bar long. This transition section is designed to build tension and anticipation, and it culminates in the appearance of the next theme. This tension and anticipation is created in all parameters: dynamics, orchestration, and harmony. The dynamics gradually go from mezzo piano to fortissimo. The orchestration becomes more dense, meaning more instruments keep joining in, and the harmonies also become more dense and or more dissonant. The harmonies in this section are constructed by stacking perfect fourths. Let's take a look at the chord progression. There's 4 bars of a plain C note, followed by an F sus4 chord. Then comes a gigantic stack of fourths from G to E flat. Then we have an A flat sus4 chord, which resolves down a semitone to G sus4. The transition then culminates in the appearance of the next theme, theme B, which is again a clearly defined 8-bar theme with a beginning and end. Before I mentioned 2 types of basic melody construction, first being period, the other one being sentence. The sentence is structured differently from the period. The sentence starts out with 2 bars of a motif. These 2 bars are then repeated, usually in some modified form. And these 4 bars are then followed by 4 more bars of development, concluding in a cadence. And that's basically what we have here. A 2-bar phrase, which is repeated with a slight variation. If we take a look at the harmony, and the first 4 bars is pretty simple. 2 alternating chords, the C major chord and the chord F major over G, also known as G sus. In bar 5 we have the extended subdominant chord, F major, with a couple more thirds stacked on top, making it an F major 7 sharp 11 chord, followed by the C major 7 chord. Theme C starts out as a melody in the tenor range, played by the violas and cellos of the string section, while other bass instruments are playing the pedal note C and quarter notes. This, again, is not a period, more akin to sentence. There's also something interesting going on with the peak note of every phrase. It keeps creeping up every 2 bars or so. We have the peak note A in bar 2, the peak note C in bars 3 and 4. Then we have D, and finally we reach F and E. The melody keeps climbing up. Let's take a look at the harmonies. Bar 1 of this theme is harmonized with an F major chord, which is kind of contrast to the other themes, yet still familiar to the key of C major. In the first 5 bars, we have only chords from the key of C major. From bar 6 on, we have some modal interchange going on, the minor 4-7 chord. Theme C is then immediately repeated, but it's now entirely harmonized in 7th chords. C major 7, D minor 7, E minor 7, and so on. But it's not restated in full. It's interrupted by a section consisting of a 2-bar motif that's repeated a couple of times. This is basically a 4-5-1 cadence in C major. Then we have a sudden dramatic modulation to G flat Lydian in bar 54 with the pretty chord D flat major over G flat. Then the G flat moves up a semitone, paving the way for a cadence back to C major for a reiteration of theme A. This time though, theme A is juxtaposed with the main rhythm from the transition section. After theme A follows theme D, which is the flying theme, where Superman takes Lois Lane flying over Metropolis. Theme D is the first real modulation to a different key, namely to the key of F major. The first half of theme D isn't playing F major though. John Williams is mixing parallel modes, meaning modes with the same root F. He's using notes from the conventional F major scale, from the F Lydian scale, and from the F minor scale. The second half of theme D is in B flat. 2 minor 7 chords here are alternating once every measure, C minor 7 and D minor 7, which are the chords on the second and third degrees of the B flat major scale. There's also a neat little counter melody going on. These 4 measures are then transposed upper major second to the key of C. And after that repetition, there's a 1-bar phrase that's immediately transposed back down a major second, cadencing to the B flat major chord. The key center of B flat is fortified for 2 measures before theme B reappears. In this closing section, there's some contrasting, completely new material. And also, please consider giving this channel a like and subscribe.